Hey y'all, it is I, Anthony the Canadian Guy, and welcome to Wrestlesode. Today we are speaking with TJ Cannon. This was such a fun little chat. TJ Cannon's been blowing up all over Alberta recently. He's even wrestling out in like Winnipeg, which is actually originally where he's from because he's a second generation superstar. And this is the second generation superstar we've had in a row because we just did Colton Kelly last week. This was a really great chat. We had such a fun time. We had a really great Q&A section. We had a lively chat. We always have a great lively chat on Tuesday nights over at twitch.tv/JupiterVision, where we record Wrestlesodes live at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Like tonight over, if you're watching this on July the 5th, we are going to be interviewing Kyle Shaw, the Canadian Goose, honk honk, over on Twitch. So make sure you go tune in for that. But if you want, I got a hair like right there. That was bothering me. Anyways, this is my interview with TJ Cannon. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And yeah, let's just get straight into it. I can hear you. I can see you. Everything looks fantastic. How are you doing today?
Can't complain. Can't complain at all. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I think we should just get this out of the way first. We should start here. So you're not Dean Ambrose. Can we just start there and just confirm this? You are not, in fact, Dean Ambrose.
Cat's out of the bag. I am not Dean Ambrose after all of these accusations, I guess. So
one of these days, maybe they'll stop. Maybe they'll stop saying it. Or even better, maybe we will get the TJ Cannon, Dean Ambrose. Oh, well, I guess it would be John Moxley match. Though I would technically say that the photo people specifically were going after Dean Ambrose, not Moxley. You were more Ambrose, I guess. To them.
Yeah, I've never been called Moxley. It's always been Ambrose. So I guess it's just that era of him. So
specifically, I guess that's what they go after. So how are you doing? Like how has your day been there, TJ?
Honestly, it wasn't too bad. It's been pretty busy. I worked all day today and then jetted down here and hung out with my pup. And then yeah.
Oh, you got a little puppers?
Yeah, he's actually funny enough. He's right behind me right there.
Oh, is that a Labradoodle?
He's an Aussie Doodle, actually.
Aussie Doodle. Oh, those are some of the best breeds, man. I'm a huge Doodle fan. I don't think people understand just how smart Doodles can be, right?
Dude, he's funny enough, like I call him the Einstein of my house because he's so smart and I barely had to train him. So
that's amazing. That's your best friend there in the corner then?
Oh yeah, man. His name's Motley. He's really the only family I have in Alberta, so it's just me and him. So.
Wow. Well, I'm okay. So I guess the name Motley right above him. I guess we could talk a little bit about your background. Fan of Motley Crue, perhaps, maybe just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit,
just a little bit. I assume that their music and their style is a big influence on your wrestling personality.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say my wrestling personality.
Just in your personality.
Yeah, just altogether. I don't know. I like what they stand for. They like to have a good time. I like their music. I don't know. I like leather, so just kind of all worked for me.
Fantastic. Well, I guess it all works out really well for you then, because it works really well. So would you say there's much of a disconnect between TJ Cannon the person and TJ Cannon the wrestler?
Not really. I just say like the what's the word, the phrase that they always use. It's just like the best wrestlers are always you with your volume turned up.
Yeah, dialed up to 11 or whatever, right?
I could easily say that's me. Like for instance, I get to be who I want to be out there. A lot of the time, for instance, I'm a heel in Edmonton, so I don't really get to speak my mind a lot because I don't like being disrespectful in public and stuff. So when I'm a heel in Edmonton and I actually get to run my mouth, it's actually quite fun because I don't get to do that in an everyday basis. So
well, so the only times I've seen you wrestle, and like we've had this conversation when I went back to that RCW show, that was my first TJ Cannon show. I wasn't too familiar with you prior to that, and I've had to do my research since. And obviously since then we've become friends. We've had a couple of conversations. Are you just chugging chocolate milk right now?
All the time, man. It's my addiction. Dude, I love chocolate milk.
What are these? My addiction's regular white milk. Like to me, I can't do the chocolate. It's a little too sweet. But like you will see me sitting there chugging milk. So I'm glad that I'm not the only milk lover out there.
I honestly, man, I could probably go through like a 4-liter in like 2 days. I love milk so much. So
man, we're like blood brothers there. That makes me really happy. I like to hear that. But so like I was saying, like I wasn't too familiar with your work. Now, so did you start coming in here to Alberta and wrestling during the pandemic and everything? Because like I was saying, prior to that, I wasn't too familiar with you. How did that kind of come about? Because just like one day I was just like, oh, there's a TJ Cannon. And who's TJ Cannon?
So I actually originally, like I'm from Winnipeg. So I moved here in 2018 now. So it will actually be 4 years in like a couple weeks I've been living here. But I consider myself a pandemic wrestler, quote unquote, because I started training during the pandemic. So I didn't really start wrestling like as full time as I am now until like probably November, like this past November. So I'm still a pretty big rookie. So
How did you
yeah.
start training then? Because you said you were a pandemic wrestler. Like, where did you train?
So even back in like for instance, I'll just get like started with this right off the bat. Is my dad was a pro wrestler, so I've just been around it my entire freaking life. So there's always been that kind of interest and spark of me wanting to do it. It was just a matter of like right place, right time, and such. But yeah, I just kind of during the pandemic, we were obviously all not doing anything. I can't even say that I was working in a mall because malls in Alberta for some reason didn't shut down during the pandemic.
Or seemed to get less crowded for whatever reason. It was business as usual. It felt like in a mall.
Yeah. So I honestly, and like for the first like 3 months of the pandemic, actually, like nobody was really even going to the mall, unfortunately. So it was just me standing around having a lot of I guess like thinking time,
Right.
and I just realized I was like, now's the freaking time. You know what I mean? Like my hours were chopped down in the mall just due to not a lot of people being there. So I actually had the time to train, and I made it happen. So that's really what sparked my interest.
That's awesome. So I know you said your dad was a professional wrestler. Before this, I even said usually I'd like to do my research and figure this out. I knew that you were a second generation wrestler, but I specifically avoided figuring out who your father was or anything like that. Tell me a little bit about your time as a second generation wrestler. Who was your dad?
Yeah, so my dad was his name is the Canadian loose cannon TJ Bratt. He's primarily was based out of like Manitoba, Winnipeg. Back between I think 2001 and 2010, I'd say was like his prime kind of years.
Right.
But yeah, not like unfortunately, like not unfortunately, but a lot of people don't know him out here just because obviously provinces and time has passed and stuff. But yeah, my dad was a wrestler. He's very much so kind of same style as me. He's got a lot of attitude, just like I do. So didn't fall too far from the tree, I guess.
Is that where the TJ came from as like an homage to your dad?
So yeah, funny story. I like telling the story. Is are you a fan of the 2K video games?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very precise when I make my video game characters. If they don't have the what's the word, like the recording of my last name, like my real last name is very unpronounceable to the rest of the world, so it's never included in a video game. For instance, when I play like Madden and stuff like that. But when I was trying to make a wrestler, I always did TJ Bratt Jr. and they didn't have a Brat, so I just used Cannon because my dad's nickname was the Canadian Loose Cannon.
Right.
So it kind of worked for me. So I just used TJ Cannon and kind of made it my own, but still homage to him.
That's pretty awesome. So there's like a little bit of everything from your dad in your name then. Like, and you said like even your style and all that kind of stuff, he's very much like you, like in terms of like ring work as well.
Yeah, like for instance, like my dad, honestly, I guess he wasn't a technician, wasn't like a good chain wrestler, that kind of stuff. He was more there to like throw punches and beat the shit out of you, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how my style is. I'm not the greatest technical, but I'm not afraid to throw some forearms and chops at you, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I compare me and him.
Well,
But even our attitude, I'd say, is the most comparable thing.
I completely understand. Hey, you know what? Wrestling needs a good brawler. In my opinion, my favorite wrestler of all time was The Undertaker, and it wasn't like he was doing suplexes every other minute. You know what I mean? He was a brawler in his kind of style as well. So everybody's got something.
Exactly. It's nice to have like variety on the card, right? So if every wrestler is wrestling the exact same way, you might as well just have one match.
So you said you grew up, your dad was a wrestler, so you just grew up around wrestling like from a very young age, or was it something that kind of came around more in the teen years? Like, how did that all work out?
Nah, man. Like honestly, I like I said, I can't remember a time wrestling wasn't in my life. Like one of my very first memories, actually, funny enough, be able to tie this back to Alberta, is you know who Zach Mercury is?
Yeah.
So Zach Mercury, basically, he grew up in the same like lake area as my dad did. So I've known Zach Mercury my entire life. And my first ever wrestling memory isn't even of my dad. It was of Zach Mercury wrestling in a place called Lac de Bonnie. There was a steel cage match with Mr. Kennedy before he got signed and Zach Mercury. And I remember being like 4 years old looking up and Zach Mercury jumped off the cage. And I remember looking at my grandpa and my grandpa was just like freaking out. So yeah, it's just that kind of stuff's just embedded in me. Like my dad was like a promoter and stuff. So I got to go to all the shows he put on. I got to meet all the WWF legends he brought in and stuff. So
Oh man, so it's like in your blood. Like you've been around behind the scenes section of wrestling then your whole life. So
Oh yeah.
do you feel like you lost a little bit of that mystique, kind of knowing how everything worked behind the scenes, or were you still just as diehard of a fan when like the TV was on, or when you were at a show?
So I kind of use this as a example. Is I always kind of knew. Obviously, I don't like using the term scripted or fake. Like we know what wrestling is. We don't got to talk about it. But I remember 2011, that whole CM Punk storyline going on. I must have been 15 years old at the time, and I fully believed it was happening. So I didn't really cue in all the way, you know what I mean? Like until I was older. So yeah,
Isn't that
yeah.
awesome that wrestling can do that for you? Like just totally remove yourself from like that whole like logical side of thinking to just being like, no, no, this is my entertainment. Because it's not like you're watching like The Walking Dead and going, oh my God, zombies are outside, right? Like you're able to disconnect yourself and make that part of like the enjoyment of the like the whole thing.
No, 1,000%, man. Honestly, it's I used to kind of expression too to a lot of people, like when they always ask me like, how do you watch wrestling if you know it's scripted and stuff? It's like, you watch The Walking Dead, don't you know that's scripted too? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, name a TV show that you're watching these days that isn't scripted. Give me something that isn't scripted. It's like
a
good luck with
thousand
that.
percent, man. A lot of people even argue that sports nowadays is like fixed and stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, I
So
mean, with this Battle of Alberta being as crazy as it's been, I'm sorry to everybody who's tuned into this and not paying attention to the Flames Oilers game right now, but I think this is a little bit more entertaining, especially if you're a Flames fan. So we'll just stick out here
oh,
right now.
spoiler.
Spoilers, spoilers. But anyway, so what were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up then? So, like, obviously your dad and a lot of the indie scenes, I assume you were pretty dialed into, but like in terms of the professional wrestlers, who were you keeping an eye out on?
So it's funny. I was having this conversation actually a couple days ago. It's just like my taste in pro wrestling was so different as a child that it is now. That like my favorite wrestler as a kid was Kane, and I still love Kane. Like yeah, Kane. I'll put Kane on a pedestal any day of the like of the week.
Me
But
too. Me too.
just even as a kid, like for instance, I guess Kane, his mask was like the number one thing. I loved his mask. I was always into superheroes and stuff. Like Daredevil was my favorite superhero of all time. So, and because of his mask and stuff like that. So I really like Kane, Rey Mysterio. I met Rey Mysterio when I was like 10, I think. So, yeah, it's Rey Mysterio, Kane. I guess like all the Mystique kind of like character guys were my favorite ones that I was like, I gravitated towards when I was a kid. But as I got older and actually started enjoying wrestling for wrestling and rather than the actual like theatrics of it, Chris Jericho. I love Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's my man. So
A little bit of Winnipeg pride kind of there, a little bit on the inside.
that, oh dude, I wear it on my sleeve. You could go into the RCW locker room and 90% of the people know I like Chris Jericho. I hit a code breaker in like probably 100% of my matches. So
You were
yeah.
talking a lot about Kane's mask. Just out of curiosity, because this was a big disappointment for me. Because Kane was the reason I got into wrestling to begin with. I watched that debut where he ripped off the door off the cell, and then like
Yep.
came in and like Tombstone the Undertaker, and I didn't know really what wrestling was at that time. But I remember like at that very moment, my brain went, ah, this is my future. I don't know what this is, but I love everything about this. I don't know what this is. But the day that Kane removed his mask and like all that eyeshadow was like smudged around, I was like, oh, this is such a bummer. I keep the mask on. Prime Kane had mask, right?
See, I will literally, funny enough, me, Mars, and Tony, I will literally, we're road partners for people who don't know that. We ride together all the time. I will literally go on hour-long rants about why Kane was the greatest between 2003 and 2006. Like when he
Oh, okay. So
unmasked,
after
man,
the unmasking.
dude, when he unmasked, I remember vividly watching that, and I was 2003. I would have been 6 years old. I remember watching that like clear as day in my grandparents' cabin living room, and then just to this day, it still sticks to me. Like, and the weeks that followed after he unmasked, it was just great storytelling. Like him, yeah, I love that era of Kane so much.
I guess
Like
different strokes for different folks. For me, Prime Kane was like Ministry of Darkness, and you know what I mean?
here's the thing though, is like I was born in '96, so by the time Kane debuted, I was only a year old, right?
Fair, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
I
really
was
had to
eight,
go
so a
I had to
little
go
bit
back and
different.
watch that stuff as I grew up, but I was literally living through the Kane unmasking process and all that, and I loved it. I loved it so much. So,
What was your favorite storyline then in terms of wrestling? Like, what's something that you can think back on? You're like, oh, that was just prime storytelling.
dude, again, it gets a lot of hate, but like I love. People are gonna laugh at me. I love the Kane, like Matt Hardy, Edge, all that kind of like Gene Snitsky getting thrown into that and stuff. I loved it. Like it was a good as a kid. I don't know why, but I liked it. The other storyline that I put this match over any chance I can. Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho, WrestleMania 19 is my favorite match of all time. So that story that they were telling up to that and then them having that match was freaking fantastic. So I'd say that between those two storylines.
What about in the independent world? Like, obviously, you said you kind of grew up around the Winnipeg pro wrestling scene. When you think back on that, like, did you have like a favorite rivalry growing up or something? You're just like, man, that stuck in my mind.
See, like, this is the thing too. It's just like kind of different time, different place. Was RCW, we're very lucky to run as much as we are, like once or twice a week, right?
Right.
So we could actually do storylines. But back when I was growing up, they were really only doing like a show maybe every 3 months.
Oh,
so
okay.
it was kind of hard to do storylines and stuff like that. So it just didn't really, you know what I mean? But I just, like I said, I remember just watching my dad wrestle a lot. I remember just going to the shows and watching everybody that knows my dad wrestle and stuff like that. So nothing too independently I remembered about growing up in wrestling, just besides being around my dad's shows and such like that, meeting all the people he brought in and stuff, cool stuff like that.
That's really cool. Well, let's switch gears a little bit here. So you said you came over in 2018. What was the shift from Winnipeg to Calgary for? Like, why'd you come all the way out here?
So I was training back in Winnipeg under CWE. I was just training for like a couple months. But I came out here for a vacation and I lived in, backtrack a bit, 2015, the year I graduated, I actually came and lived with my mom in Airdrie for about 6 months.
Okay.
And I fell in love with the province. I loved it. So once I moved back to Winnipeg, I knew my plan was to come back. But yeah, I was dating a girl actually that lived in Calgary. So I came and lived here with her. My job transferred me over. And then I was just saving up money to go to Land Storm School actually. And then shut
Closed down
so.
right at that time. I was like, that would have been right at the time they shut down, hey?
Exactly, yeah. And then pandemic happens and yeah, and just kind of everything.
Where did you spend most of your time training during the pandemic then?
So I actually started off at the AWA, the Alberta Wrestling Academy.
Right.
Yes. Primarily, yeah, there I was trained by mainly Bruce Hart. So
where do you do most of your training these days, or is it mostly just the time that you have in the ring kind of a thing?
Yeah, right now it's just in-ring work. I haven't really found a school yet that I've wanted to dedicate myself to, and unfortunately I don't have a lot of time right now, but there has been a few times, or once recently, that I went to Top Talent with heavy metal. I do know we want to do that a few times. For instance, we stay on the Saturday. We got the shows on Saturday, sorry. We might just stay the next night and train with metal all day again. We were there for freaking, I think, 6 hours on Easter Sunday while I had food poisoning and we were training all day. So,
oh man, so you were training through food poisoning.
Yeah, so I ordered freaking maybe $5 worth of McDonald's, and Tony ordered $40 with McDonald's, and I was the one that ended up with food poisoning.
Was this the day of the infamous McDonald's order? Was this the following day?
You know, that actually might. There's a good freaking chance, yeah.
That was quite an order. So I've been told behind the scenes, I guess we might as well just address this now. Tony Machete obviously has quite the insane order. I've told you also quite have an insane order when it comes to McDonald's. When you guys go there, does like Mars just sit there and shake and just go like, was all this in my car kind of a thing?
So
like
Mars doesn't eat fast food. He doesn't do anything like that. So he's just really there just to chauffeur us, unfortunately, and just wait in the McDonald's parking lot with us. But normally lately,
support.
Exactly, yeah. Normally lately it's been me, Tony, and Jack Pride, and Mars all traveling together. So when we travel, yeah, we're probably stuck in that drive-through for a good solid 15 minutes trying to get our order figured out.
Oh man, does it ever come out right, or is it usually like a nightmare?
No, there was this one time actually. I think it was Lloyd Minister. It was awful. I think we had to go back through the drive-through 4 times because they forgot one of our orders each time. So yeah,
that's pretty fun.
Is
it McDonald's just because they're reliable everywhere and open all the time kind of a thing?
Yeah, honestly, by the time like we get out of the Legion on Edmonton, it's usually like midnight, sometimes 12:30. So it's just like it's slim pickings. So
are you guys usually making the drive back that same night kind of a thing?
9 out of 10 times, yeah, we do. Oof. Yeah.
That's got to be a fun little drive, getting home at like 4 a.m. The sun's coming up kind of a thing.
Honestly, man, it used to suck when I worked on Sunday because like I'd literally get home at 4 and then I'd have to go open my store for like 9 in the morning or something. But I get Sundays off now, thankfully. So it is what it is. It's just usually me trying to stay awake with Mars while Tony's passed out in the back seat. So
That's
yeah.
what Mars was saying, that Tony is like the worst person to ride with because he'll just fall asleep like as soon as he gets in the car. If he's not eating McDonald's, he's asleep in the back, kind of a thing.
No, 1,000%. Like it's me and Mars make a joke all the time. It's like Tony doesn't sleep unless he's in Mars's car. So like
That he just
it's
saves it specifically for the rides. Like he waits and just adds time for it.
no, exactly, right? Like he's gotta it's like a cat. They just have power snoozes any chance they can. So
Does the ride-alongs with Mars and Tony, like, how's the music situation there? Because I guess the music is probably pretty similar, but a little bit different based on what I've been able to piece between all of your music tastes.
so Tony never plugs in his phone because it's just he doesn't need to. Not and I have an iPhone unfortunately, and I
He's too busy asleep to plug it in, anyways.
exactly. And I have an iPhone, and since Steve Jobs decided to be an evil man and take out the auxiliary holes on the iPhone, I can't actually play my music in the car. So it's all the time. It's just Mars's. If I have a suggestion of a song, I'll just like type it in and stuff. But 9 out of 10 times, it's just Mars's. It's just his background music as we like shoot the shit and stuff. So,
Do you guys have like a favorite road memory that you have,
oh god,
other
honestly,
than the McDonald's order?
this one didn't really include a favorite. I've had like a few like scary moments with Mars where we've almost died, and Tony had no idea because he's sleeping in the back seat.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, there was a few times actually, back-to-back weeks where me and Mars like we literally saw our life flash before our eyes. It was we spun out on the highway. Yeah, it was
Winter
pretty
or
scary.
something like that.
What's that? Sorry.
Was it during winter? I assume.
Yeah, I think it might have actually been like the tail end of winter. I don't remember there being a lot of snow. It's just the car in front of us slammed on its brakes for some reason, and then that caused us to slam on us, and then we spun into the ditch. So,
See,
yeah.
I was hoping we'd break like news here and be like Mars, terrible driver or something like that, constantly getting into accidents.
No. Mars is actually, I will say, Mars has probably saved my life more than he actually knows. So,
In the ring,
not
out
that
of the
bad.
ring, it's just he's a good guy.
No, exactly. Yeah, he's a great guy. There's a reason I ride with him.
There you go. Well, let's pull this back to a little bit to your wrestling here in the Alberta scene. So you've been wrestling quite a little bit recently. You've wrestled alongside Colton Kelly. Recently, that was the match that I saw. You are working, well, at least in Calgary, you're working face. You said you're working a little bit heel in Edmonton. Is it just kind of depending on where you are, or is it like, are you back to heel now?
Honestly, like this is the funny thing. I just must really like the people of Calgary because that's the only place I'm a baby face.
Really? Everywhere
Yeah,
else you go heel?
90% of the time, yeah, I'm a heel everywhere else. Calgary's like the only place I've consistently stayed babyface. Like I don't think I've never been heel in Calgary. So
Is there any matches that you'd like to have around the Alberta scene that you haven't had yet? Like, do you have any of those dream matches that you'd love to do?
honestly, I haven't had a singles match with Michael Richard Blaze yet. I just had a tag team match with him on Friday. I barely got to tangle with him, so MRB would be a good one.
A favorite amongst many, to be honest.
Exactly. I've already worked him a bunch of times, but I love wrestling him every time I do. Heavy metal.
Another favorite amongst Alberta wrestlers.
Right? Like there's so many. Like God.
Well, I mean, when you hear Alberta wrestling, especially these days, like those two names are like quite synonymous with Alberta wrestling. Heavy metal and Michael Richard Blaze is kind of like, well, they teach. They're always at the top of the card. They're always putting on like fucking bangers. Like it's great.
And that's it. And it's just like, for instance, like heavy metal, I could say because I've worked him singles match nonstop. I learned something every single freaking time I work with them. So it's just like those are the type of people I want to be associated with and wrestle because I'm trying to get better. You know what I mean? So I want to wrestle people that are better than me so I can get to that caliber. You know?
Right. Of course, you always learn something when you play or when you wrestle somebody better. I say the same thing about chess because I love playing chess. Right? It's like it's fun winning, but I'd rather lose to somebody who's way better than me because I learned something entirely from that.
No, 1,000%. And that's honestly it too. Is just like it's like any game. It's just like if you lose, there's something to learn from at least. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I like people who take the thing. They're not losses, they're learns. That's how you should always do. There's wins and learns.
Exactly, and that's like I've always used the term opportunities. You know what I mean? Like give me some opportunities to work on. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. So what about in terms of like moving on, like obviously say don't look past the Alberta scene into something else, but is it like your dream to work for like the WWE? Would you like to work for AEW? Like where do you see like future TJ Cannon?
Honestly, I just want to see where the ride takes me. Like I obviously have all these goals. Like I'd be dumb to say WWE and AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, all that's like such isn't on my radar. Um, I very much so right now just I want to get to BC. I want to wrestle in BC. I want to go back to Manitoba, get some Manitoba dates and such like that. I want to get across Canada before I think company contract kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
for you, it's more like focusing on the next match, not like what future matches are down the road. It's like, what's the next best thing for me today, kind of a thing.
Well, it's more or less. I'm just like I said, I'm only 60 matches in right now, so.
You got them all written down. Do you have like a ledger or a book or something with all of your matches?
I do, yeah. I keep it on my. I'm thinking about getting a physical copy, unfortunately, just because I know technology is kind of fucky sometimes. So I have it written on my iPhone right now, but yeah, I just figured why not live in the age of internet, so I could just like. It's also on what's that website called, Cage Match and stuff. So it's not too hard to find, but yeah, I like knowing where I'm at and stuff. So.
Do you have a favorite match when you look back on your 60 matches? Like they're like, that was the standout to me.
See, there's different ones. Like for instance, this past Saturday, I had a triple threat match with Son of Irish and Colton Kelly. I had so much fun that when I got through the curtain in the back, I had a smile on my face like the entire night because I just had so much fun and the crowd was amazing and just everything went perfect in that match. Honestly, like I said, anytime I wrestle metal, it's always, I don't think I've had a bad match, in my opinion, against metal. So I always put him in my favorites. And then honestly, I would say I had a really fun match with Mars in Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat has a lot of kids there. So I like doing a lot of comedy spots and stuff, getting some reactions and stuff. So we had a really fun match where he actually ended up beating me like into the back room. And then we came out and he was pushing me in a wheelchair. Like it was funny stuff like that. So it's cool stuff. Yeah.
I have always been a big proprietor of comedy wrestling. I think that wrestling honestly isn't as good as it could be with if comedy wrestling wasn't there, I feel like you miss out on so much opportunity to make wrestling the laughing side of wrestling, right? Like things that make you laugh, like you said, coming out on the wheelchair. Things like that to me are what I think sticks in the people's minds, especially if kids, in my opinion. I think when a kid is there and you can make them laugh, like a good belly laugh, that sticks with them like a lot.
No, exactly. And that's honestly one of my favorite things is even like I was talking to my friends about this, about the hockey games and stuff. I'm such a weirdo that a lot of times I pay attention to the crowd reactions. Like I went to a Flames game for the first time this year and I wasn't really into the game. I was more or less looking at the atmosphere of the crowd because I love seeing crowds enjoying their time. You know what I mean? So especially kid crowds, if I can get kid crowds to like either laugh or boo at me with like literally all their might, I love it because it brings me back to how I was as a kid, like being front row and my dad would come out and I'd be able to tell my dad he sucks without getting grounded. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Was when your dad came out a heel often, I suppose then?
He was a heel like basically, yeah, I'd say 95% of his career. So
you get to go be like, you suck. My bedtime is too early. Like just start yelling all the things you wanted to say.
No, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I got to air my grievances at him. So without getting grounded.
That's amazing. Well, I think we should start moving into the fun Q&A portion of this. I think we got a pretty good little background into everything. If we can shout, if you want to start compiling some of those messages, I've seen a whole bunch of messages come through.
Should I be looking on my phone?
If you'd like to. No, they're going to be coming through. I'm going to ask you the questions, and we'll go from there. The first question I did get, though, was from a friend of yours named Chuck McNasty, who sent me a message personally, who specifically wanted me to ask, though he couldn't tune in tonight, why do you love bullying small children so much?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't enjoy... When I'm a heel, I pick on anybody who yells at me, okay? And 90% of the times, it's the kids that are the loudest. So I get right back in their faces. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah, they're like yelling at you. They're standing on their chair because they get so invested, right? Like, couldn't you wish you could be in a crowd and you get so into the show that you literally stand up on your chair and are booing at people? Like, that's kids.
And that's the thing is just like, I very much so like, whenever I'm planning a match and it is a comedy match, I love looking for certain spots to pop people, you know what I mean? Like, cause it's just like, that's what brings it back full circle to me. Like if I can make that kid in that front row feel like how I did when I was in the front row, when I was a kid, I'm doing my job 1,000% successful. So that's why I like bullying kids.
There you go. I love it. You're like, there's your nice, simple solutions followed by, that's why I like bullying kids.
no clips of this. Go.
Oh
like,
no, clips!
no
Everybody
free
clip that, please.
context.
Please, everybody clip that. All right, next quick question here for you, because Shout asked this question to every single one of our guests. What are your thoughts on the all-time classic movie Ready to Rumble, starring Sting?
Okay, so Ready to Rumble. I'm probably gonna get slapped for saying this. I have not seen it in my adult life. I watched it like a million times as a kid.
Right.
But I can't. Like, I remember certain parts about it, but I can't. Like, yeah, I like it, but I can't say I love it because it's been so long since I've seen it.
So what you're trying to say is that we have to have a watch-along party for all the like adult versions. What we'll do, maybe we'll have like a
Big Vision
projector
has
up.
been trying. What's up?
We'll put up like a big projector. We'll have everybody in like the crowd. We'll have some drinks and stuff. We'll just all sit around and watch Ready to Rumble, feature starring Sting. Obviously, we'll just one night, a lot of drinks. That sounds like fun, hey? We'll do a show, have a great night afterwards.
Max Story, who's actually Big Vision, he's our photographer for RCW, does a fantastic freaking job.
Oh, I've seen his work. Yeah, he does great stuff. Then I didn't realize that was who the photographer was.
If nobody follows him right now, and you guys give him a follow, he puts up some great photos, whether it's like wrestling or even just music and stuff. He's a dope photographer. But anyways, what he's been trying to get a watch along to what's it called, Ready to Rumble, for the longest time, and I think it might actually be happening in the next couple months. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Please invite me. I will come. I'll bring popcorn or whatever it is. I don't like popcorn, but that's what humans bring, I am told. So
right.
All right, next quick question. Well, I don't understand why people call him Dean Ambrose. You're way better looking. Can you explain why you're so much better looking than Dean Ambrose?
Oh God. I honestly I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
You're like, it's my genes. It's in your genes. You know what I mean?
I'm wearing shorts right now, man. Oh, jeans.
It's not in your genes. That's a whole other thing. That's why you're more attractive than Dean Ambrose.
No, I don't know, man. Dean Ambrose is a pretty good looking dude. He landed himself a honey that's pretty attractive herself. Sorry. So.
And Canadians, so good for him. We always got to say that. We got to give all the love to the Canadians. Renee Paquette out there. Lovely Canadian gal. Next quick question.
The score.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Next quick question here. What was your first tattoo? Because clearly you've got a couple of them.
My first tattoo was actually my wrist. Yeah.
Okay. That's a rosary, right?
Yeah. So I was really close with my grandpa, and one of the last things my grandpa actually gave me before he passed away was a rosary. So I just figured, what better way? But I'm not gonna put this on blast or anything. I'm not religious or anything. It was just more or less just a sentiment to my grandpa.
Hey, if what's important to you is important to you, right? Whether or not it has sentiment to other people, right? So to you, it says your grandpa. To another person, it might say religion, but to you, it screams your grandpa, right?
No, that's the exact cool thing is to my hand, actually. My grandpa was going to be a priest. So that's exactly why I got that on my hand.
Is that supposed to be your grandpa?
No, it's something, honestly. So I have two on my hands. I just wanted him to kind of match the aesthetic of the girl.
Okay.
So I just wanted a priest, and then they actually ended up putting the Quebec logo on his face.
Right, that fleur-de-lis.
Yeah, because he's my grandpa's from Quebec, or was from Quebec, sorry, and it was his praised. He loved that place, so I made sure to get it on my body.
I was gonna say when I first saw that too quickly, I thought that was Seth Rollins for a second, but
yes.
I mean, it's great
I got
to
the
see
visionary
that.
Tattooed on me.
I was gonna say it's really nice to see that you're dedicating yourself to your old stable buddy in the Shield. So when are you gonna get
my Roman Reigns tattoo?
Yeah, are you getting the Roman Reigns arm tattoo? Is that coming up next?
I got the big dog on my stomach already. Don't worry.
Oh, he's already there. Okay, so you're already all the love there to your former Shield buddies then.
No, I'm just joking. I got a lion on my stomach. That's what I got. But yeah.
How many tattoos do you have in total then?
I think 9.
Yeah, 9 tattoos. How old were you when you got your first one then?
17, actually. It was a month before I turned 18. I begged my mom just to sign the freaking paper. So, yeah, 17 years old.
Well, there's a couple of quick questions here I've seen with regards to tattoos, so I'm sure we'll be coming back to that one. But next one here, what is your thought process when working with an artist to create your merch designs?
Honestly, so a lot of the times I have an inspiration. Something I just either want to replicate or it's like homage to somebody I really like. I just enjoy their work and stuff. So whenever I have an idea, I just kind of contact who I think could come up with, not come up with, but collaborate with ideas with me. And then, we just kind of see where it goes. So if I ever have an idea, I just kind of try and draw it out myself or something like that to see if it actually looks decent. And then I'll try and get it made better.
How many different designs do you have out right now?
On my pro wrestling tees, I think I have 4 right now, plus one I'm trying to get uploaded, but it's just taking forever for some reason.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we should go, we'll have to plug those. We'll have to take pictures of those and put them up on social
I
medias.
I do some as well myself as well. Like I'm pretty proficient with like Photoshop, but it's just time is not my friend right now, so I don't have a lot of time to do it myself. So
Well, did you create that little like chibi emoji version of yourself there that's behind you?
I did part of it, and then part of the part I couldn't do, I got somebody else to make.
What does it say? It says
It
TJ
says
Cannon.
TJ Cannon. It just says TJ Cannon and the young gun in the sign. So I love Funko Pops. They're like I go through obsessions probably every like 2 years about where I buy them, and then I sell them, and then I buy them, and then I sell them. And I just figured I was like I kind of wanted to. We have a lot of markets in our CW where we have a lot of kids. So this is kind of like a more kid-friendly T-shirt. So I just figured I'd make that an option as well.
That's a great idea, right? Like you can appeal to all the different people, right? Do you
No,
often have a lot
exactly.
of
Right?
kids come up to you like during intermissions and stuff and just chatting with you and be like, "Oh my God, you're a wrestler."
It's honestly, I tell this to like all my friends and stuff. It's the funniest thing is like I get more interactions with kids when I'm a heel than I do a face. So I literally in Medicine Hat, the match I had with Mars and stuff, I literally probably was, I think besides Ava, I sold the most merch that day. And I was probably the biggest asshole in that entire roster.
Were you just like trying to get a rouse out of the kids? So the kids were like, "Oh, I hate him. Dad, get
Yeah,
me a
literally.
shirt so I can wear it."
Literally, yeah, no, funny enough, yeah, and they wanted to get their pictures taken with me and stuff. So it's just like it's one of those things where it's just like I guess I connected with them in a way that even if I was being a bit of an ass, but they like they liked it, you know what I mean? So
Is that your favorite part of wrestling? Is seeing the reaction that you can get out of people in the crowd, or?
yeah, I like I said, I'm a weirdo. I like crowds. So even when I'm watching like hockey games, football games and stuff, I'm paying attention to the crowd because I like the atmosphere and I like the energy and such. So being able to perform in front of a crowd and just kind of like even now as I'm getting more and more experienced and actually being able to I don't want to say I have the crowd in the palm of my hand, but there's certain things now where if I make a gesture, they react and I know that will happen. It's such a good feeling. You know what I mean? Like
You must be a fan of the writings of Hunter S. Thompson then, because he always writes about like gonzo journalism and the feelings around atmospheres and environments as opposed to what's actually happening.
So honestly, man, I don't read much books besides bios. I love biographies, but that's about it. That's really all I read.
He's got some good movies out there too, like Fear and
Really?
Loathing in Las Vegas, which is a really fucked up movie, but
You'll have to message me that after this because I'm not gonna remember. But
great
shoot me,
movie.
yeah, message and maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, because I always like to hear that when people say like they're really more interested in like the environment and the feelings around a situation more than the feeling like the actual situation itself. I'm like, oh, gonzo journalism, where instead of writing about what's happening, you're writing about the emotions and the atmosphere around it, which is
I
what
think
I
it's
love.
like a lot of people are. I think the term's like an empath or whatever. They just kind of feel everything around you and stuff. I don't want to say that's what I am, but when I'm in a crowd environment, like a giant crowd, like I definitely feel that way sometimes.
You're a
'Cause I
people
just
watcher then, and when you're out in public, then, huh?
Oh yeah, I worked in the mall for 10 years of my life, so it's just like if I didn't people watch, I would have went freaking bonkers. So
Did you ever just make up stories like, oh, this guy's just too unhappy in his life, and like he's, that's totally not his hair or something like
I
that?
I used to like when for instance I worked at Crossfire Mills and it wasn't the busiest time during the pandemic and such, but I would like sit there with my coworker and just kind of like narrate, you know what I mean? Just like pretend like, oh, these people are having a conversation about this, but you would just make fun of them, you know?
Right.
But
Just to get through the day, because that's just coping mechanisms essentially through
yeah,
boredom.
it's that or just fold your t-shirts over and over and over, you know what I mean? So
Well, there you go. All right, here's another quick question for you. In the market for a new tattoo, any place in Calgary that you would recommend?
there's the girl who did my hands actually. Her name is Melissa. She works at Boss Tattoo, and I say this to everybody too. It really that's such a vague question to ask because it really all depends what style you want, what you want done.
It's
And
like
such.
different artists, right? Like you're not going to ask one person to draw a type of cartoon if they're, drawing
Different
something else.
strokes for different folks, right?
That's as
Like
I've said.
I love like for instance my cup of tea. I love American traditional, which is more like bold lines and like thicker color.
Like the
But
Snoopies, the Charlie Browns, the Family Guys, things like that, right?
yeah, exact that kind of style. Like or even I always use this like the Ed Hardy kind of style artwork. I love that kind of stuff. Um, but for instance, like a lot of people might like photorealism tattoos, and if send them to Melissa, they're gonna fucking hate my guts. You know what I mean? Like so. Yeah, it really all depends. I just always recommend do your research. yeah, 9 out of 10 times too. Like if you go to, for instance, Boss Tattoo in Calgary, if you go there, they'll recommend which artist to use and such. So
To be like, for this style, we would recommend this artist, kind of a thing.
exactly. Yep.
Well, there you go. Well, then Boss Tattoo technically is going to be the answer of the
I would say yeah in Calgary, Boss Tattoo, but that's also because I haven't been to many other places in Calgary. So
Fair. All right, next question here for you, though I think I might have the answer, but what is your favorite band?
So I got two.
Okay.
It really all depends on like what, like I will put Motley Crue on a freaking tier any day of the week. But I'll say three. I really like Green Day. Green Day is like one of my go-tos as well.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. You're a 90s kid.
I am, yeah. Mid 90s.
Yeah.
And then I'm a really big pop punk fan. So this band actually might not even people even know. It's called Water Parks. Yeah, I fucking love them. They're a really good band. I wouldn't say they're indie, but they're not really on a known level yet. So, but I compare them to like a whinier Sum 41 is kind of what I compare them to.
I like how you call them one of the best ones out there, but you called them a whiny or Sum 41.
Here's the thing. Sum 41 is like very punky, and like this band, like the band Water Parks, it's a lot of stuff about like relationships and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like sappy kind of, but it's still like upbeat and shit. You know what I mean? So
I love that everybody's got kind of like an indie band that they all know, and they all feel like they're the only person like in the world who seems to know that band, but they're like so influential to them. Like I have the same thing. There's a band I love called Steam Powered Giraffe. Good luck to anybody who knows who the hell they are, but they're fucking phenomenal.
Had a Google trend, like a Google make me a band name.
Right? It's a very interesting name, but it comes with a backstory. It's like all got backstory and everything, but I feel like I'm the only person in the world who knows them, though they have millions of views on YouTube. You know what I mean?
maybe you just gotta go to the concert of theirs to meet like-minded people, right?
Right, I gotta go to California for something like that. All right, Nick's quick question here for you. If you had to make a 5-song playlist with no Motley Crue songs, which song artists would be on it? Songs artists would be on it.
5? Yeah,
5.
This is gonna probably surprise. I love rap. Like rap's probably my other go-to. I love G-Eazy. I know that's might be surprising, but I like G-Eazy because I like music about chasing goals and stuff like that, not about, pardon my language, fucking bitches and doing drugs. I don't like music like that. Right. So G-Eazy very much is just he raps about just reaching his goals and how he did it and stuff like that, and just being like a self-made man and stuff like that. So I really respect him a lot. So yeah, G-Eazy. I've been throwing A$AP Rocky just because I grew up on A$AP Rocky a lot. Okay. They said no Motley Crue, right?
No Motley Crue.
Okay. Green Day for sure then. That's an easy one. Damn, one sec. Let me look at my recent Spotify because this is freaking tough. Let's go. The Offspring. Love The Offspring.
Oh, I mean, who doesn't love The Offspring? Probably like the quintessential punk band for me, in my opinion.
And then this is probably going to surprise a lot of people. Ed Sheeran. I really like Ed Sheeran. So
why would that surprise people? I mean, he's an amazing singer.
He's more or less, I don't know, like you go from rock and roll to, I don't know, Ed Sheeran, and you just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of.
My playlist goes from like Avenged Sevenfold to Phantom of the Opera. So like I completely understand just that like complete 180. Great.
I guarantee you right now, if I hit shuffle on my phone, there's probably a guaranteed like in the next 4 minutes a Taylor Swift song will come on. So
why not?
Yeah,
absolutely. There you go. Everybody's got something, right? All right, next quick question for you. Oh, here's a fun one. This one I know came in from our good friend Stephen Crow. What's your favorite country song?
Rhinestone Cowboy, 1000%.
It's simply because of the Rhinestone Cowboy himself, or is that honestly, legitimately just your favorite country song?
Funny enough, actually, before me and like Steven actually like started becoming pretty good friends, me and Mars wrote together, like I said, and every time after the Edmonton show, we would just blast that song and just sing our brains out until we got to McDonald's. So I like that, and honestly, I really like Brooks and Dunn, as weird as that sounds. Like, yeah, I do like country, just not the most.
You know, it's kind of like me. It's just like country isn't what I would put on my first playlist or anything, like, or really even just like in my general playlist. But like I do have country songs that I love. Like I grew up friends with a guy named JD Bixby who won like Canada's Got Talent, like second place, like 2006, and he was a country singer, and like he did put on music videos and stuff. And I'm just like, oh yeah, we used to work at the curling rink together when we were teenagers making ice, and now I like can listen to his music. It's just funny how that works out.
Small world, man.
Right? What about non-country songs? Like, what about if you had to go for something that, like you said, that's completely left field? Maybe a Taylor Swift song. What's your Taylor Swift song choice?
Oh God. I'm gonna look at trying to find a random freaking song on my phone right now. Right here, I got a lot. I got some Enrique Iglesias.
Nice.
Some 303.
Nice 303. There's one that I'm quite familiar with, or at least from a couple of years ago, anyways.
Yeah, honestly, it's just really depends. Like Mariana's Trench. I love Mariana's Trench too. It really all depends. Like I said, I'm a very big pop punk kid, so 9 out of 10 times I'll be kind of listening to something along that style. But yeah, like Taylor Swift, man, I got like her entire Red album saved on my phone.
Quite the eclectic music taste, then, right? Like there isn't something that you would do. Is there anything that you avoid? You're like, oh, that's not my genre.
Screamo. I freaking hate metal screamo music. If you're screaming at me, I will turn it off the moment. Yeah, it's not music.
There you go. Well, everybody's got their choice of that, right? Like, I find there are some screamo songs out there, like specific bands I can't listen to. Like, I completely agree. I just listen to them like this isn't for me. But then there are some bands out there like Mastodon where I'm going like, okay, I can actually listen to this a little bit. But I have a soft spot for Mastodon because they did the intro to the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie, and they made that Let's All Go to the Lobby thing screamo, and it was like the funniest thing in the world. But anyways, are you a mint or a gum person? As we end
I'm
up
a
here.
gum person.
Yeah?
If I literally I can't wrestle without gum in my mouth. It's just something I've just embedded in my brain. If I don't have gum in my bag, I'm literally doing a mad dash across the locker room asking every single freaking person if they have gum, just because I just need gum.
Do you do a mid like match spit of the gum sometimes? Like do you lose it or do you hold on to it all the time?
Sometimes purposely and unpurposely it's popped out. So
what are some of the unpurposeful moments where it just went whoop, gone?
There was one time actually I was like talking shit to a crowd and it literally just popped out of my mouth. I was like, fuck, the match hasn't even started yet. So
and it's already gone. You're like, shit.
It's already gone, yeah.
And then whoever was in the front row, you're just like, oh man, too early on that one.
Exactly, literally, yeah. Pick it up and sell it on eBay.
Well, that does end it for the questions here today, dude. Thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this.
Oh yeah, anytime, man. I had a blast tonight. It was good to chat with you. So
absolutely. Where are we going to be seeing you coming up here in the next little bit? Where are you wrestling?
So RCW. I'm on every single show for RCW. I haven't missed an RCW show since December. So yeah, I'm probably.
So you're like one of the loyal guys. They're like, yeah, book him on every show, kind of thing.
Pretty honestly, man. I think me and Metal, I think are one of the only people that haven't really missed more than like 2-3 shows. So yeah, I'm definitely one of the most consistent workers there. I love the crowds. I like the crew. So there's no reason for me not to be there. But next couple of weeks also too, I don't know. Unfortunately, this sounds kind of, unprofessional, but I'm going to Manitoba to do a tour with Tony Candello.
Oh, you're doing a Candello tour, are you?
I am, yeah. June 16th, 17th, 18th. I don't know the names of the towns, unfortunately, but I will post them on my socials. They are some like small reserve towns in Winnipeg, Manitoba, or by Winnipeg, Manitoba. So that will be cool. But yeah, I got that. I'm doing that Top Talent show that just got announced.
You're going to be on We're Live, pal?
I am, yeah, and I got to recommend to you guys, VIP tickets are already sold out, so do not sleep on the general admission tickets. You guys are going to miss out on a great show if you do, so I would, buckle down and buy those tickets as soon as possible.
I would just love to take a second and give a big shout out to the We're Live Pal and Top Talent Wrestling for putting that on. Yes. Obviously, the Canadian Wrestling Archive, one of the big sponsors of today's show, and we love the Canadian Wrestling Archive, doing the sponsorship of the main event over there at We're Live Pal. So that's going to be really great. I know that we're going to be down there. I'm going to be at the show personally as well as a member of the Canadian Wrestling Archive. So I'm super excited for this, that we were able to do that. And man, what a show that's going to be. That's going to be freaking awesome. I can't wait for that.
I like I said, honestly, it's going to be a show you don't want to miss. Match announcements are going to be coming throughout the upcoming weeks and such. Today, they just announced Jody Threat versus Ava Lawless. So that's going to be a really good freaking match right there. Yeah, so the amount of talent too he has that he wants to appear on this show, the match announcements, they're just going to keep getting better. So
Oh, it's insane. Yeah, like already what we've gotten, it's
right.
already a show that you just can't miss at this point.
No, exactly. And like I said, if you do miss it, you're sleeping. So wake up and buy some tickets.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to do a quick little announcement here as well while I've got you, because he's a good friend of yours. So we might as well do it while I've got you on here. Next week on, let me do the exact date here. I believe it's the 31st. What day of the week is this? The 31st. Yes, the 31st of May. We will be interviewing one Rhinestone Cowboy Stephen Crow.
Nice.
Look at that. There he is. So we're going to be interviewing him on May 31st. So exactly a week from today. That should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that one. And yeah, so man, thank you once again for joining me here today. Before I let you go, you want to give your plugs where people can find you?
Yeah, honestly, all my social media, I'm pretty sure it's just under Real TJ Cannon. That's my Twitter and my Instagram. I'm pretty active on both. I'm pretty sure it's just TJ Cannon on Facebook. It's just a page, not like an actual account or anything, but I'm not very active on there, unfortunately. But yeah, Insta, Twitter, Real TJ Cannon. If you guys want to give me a follow, that would be much appreciated. Like I said, very active on those, so you'll be seeing my most recent matches and like photos and all that. Big Vision sends me photos every freaking week, and he makes me look incredible. So I will not stop making that guy get some more followers right now. Keep giving him some shout outs. Yeah, and honestly, I will say this: Max is actually one of the biggest reasons why I'm still wrestling in Alberta. So props to him for keeping me around. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you once again for joining me here today, buddy. I hope you have yourself a wonderful night. I will send you a message after this when we're all wrapped up.
Yes, please send me that movie link. I really want to, not movie link, but the name of that movie so I can check it out.
Great movie starring Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro. Like, there are tons of people are in there. It's a great movie. Anyways, have yourself a wonderful night, buddy.
You too, man. Appreciate it.
No, cheers. Thank you again to TJ Cannon for joining me here today. It was such a fun chat. Those second-generation superstars are always super fun, always have great stories. They talk about the business with such passion, and because, you know, they was infused to them in such a young age, and that was super apparent here with TJ. He's a super awesome guy. Remember to go check out his socials. Everything is going to be listed below. And don't forget to hit subscribe button. Don't forget the like button. Don't forget to hit that notify bell if you'd like, as our videos do come out every Tuesday here for Wrestlesode on the Canadian Wrestling Archive. And we also go live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Tonight we are interviewing the Canadian Goose, Kyle Shaw. So go and check that out. But yeah, that does it for me here today. We'll see you guys in a week. Much love, or I'll see you tonight if you're over on Twitch. Go to Twitch. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.